سلام، خیلی خوش اومدین به یه ویدیوی دیگه با من سحرم و قرار با هم یه سفر 20 روزه رو شروع کنیم. توی اپیزودهای قبلی کلی کتاب vocabulary for IELTS سطح Intermediate رو در قالب 20 اپیزود پادکست بهتون آموزش دادم. این پادکست ها توی این پلیلیست قابل دسترسی هستن به همراه PDF های طراحی شده، دیزاین شده که به راحتی میتونید از طریق کانال تلگرام دانلود کنید. توی سفر 20 روزه جدیدمون قراره این کتاب رو با هم دیگه کار کنیم. کتاب vocabulary for IELTS سطح Advanced. این کتاب هم در قالب 20 اپیزود پادکست قراره کامل بهتون آموزش بدم. حالا برای اینکه این پادکست رو از دست ندین حتما جوین بشین توی کانال یوتیوب و همچنین مثل همیشه برای دانلود PDF ها به کانال تلگرام سر بزنید و از همه مهمتر چطوری از این پادکست ها استفاده کنم. برای نحوه درست استفاده از پادکست ها من براتون یه ویدیو کوتاه آماده کردم که با پایان صحبتان میتونید نحوه درست استفاده از این پادکست ها رو یاد بگیرید. یادتون نره تمام مراحل رو اجرا کنیم که دقیقاً مرحله به مرحله طبق روشی که من میگم تا بتونید از این پادکست ها و همچنین روش مطالعه درست این کتاب بیشترین بازدهی رو داشته باشید. بریم سراغ درس 9 از کتاب vocabulary for IELTS سطح Advanced. توی این درس در مورد یه موضوعی میخوایم صحبت کنیم که خیلیامون روزانه باهاش سر و کار داریم. در مورد حیوانات، منابع طبیعی و حفاظت از محیط زیست. موضوعی که شاید خیلی کمتر راجبش همه صحبت میکنن. پس تا ادامه ویدیو همراه هم باش. Welcome to Unit 9, Vocabulary for IELTS, Natural History, Animals and Conservation. Hi everyone, it's Sahar and welcome back to another episode of Saharcast. Today we're moving into a fascinating topic, nature, animals and conservation. From the habitat of wild species to the devastating effects of deforestation and flooding, our relationship with natural world is both beautiful and fragile. Humans have the power to help animals flourish and thrive, but unfortunately, we also sometimes cause their demise or even their extinction. In IELTS, you might be asked questions about keeping pets, protecting endangered species, or dealing with environmental degradation. You'll also need to talk about problems like parasites in the food chain or how nocturnal animals, those active at night, adapt to their surroundings. The key here is to use precise vocabulary. Instead of saying animals die, you could say their lifespan is shortened due to pollution. Or instead of a group of bees, you could say a swarm. These details show the examiner that you have a wide range of expressions and you can describe nature accurately and vividly. So in this unit, we'll not only explore wildlife, but also reflect on our responsibility to preserve the environment. Let's dive in. Unit 9, Vocabulary List, Natural History, Animals, Conservation. Barrel, barrel. A large container for liquids. Oil was stored in wooden barrels. Colony, colony, a group of animals living together. A colony of ants worked together to build their nest. Deforestation, deforestation, cutting down forests. Deforestation is a major cause of climate change. Degradation, degradation, damage to the environment. Soil degradation reduces agricultural productivity. Demise, the end of something. Pollution led to the demise of many fish species. Devastation, extreme destruction. The flooding caused devastation across the valley. Flooding, when water covers normally dry land. Flooding damaged hundreds of homes. Habitat, the natural home of an animal or plant. Deforestation destroys the habitat of orangutans. Hive, a structure where bees live. For example, the beekeeper harvested honey from the hive. Lifespan, the length of time an organism lives. The lifespan of a dog is around 10 to 15 years. Pack, a group of animals, usually wolves and dogs. A pack of wolves was hunting together. Parasite, an organism that lives off another. Ticks are parasites that feed on animals' blood. Prey, an animal hunted by another. Lions often hunt zebra as prey. Rival, a competitor. Rival males fought for dominance. Swarm, a large group of insects. A swarm of bees attacked the intruder. Threshold, a limit or point. The species is on the threshold of extinction. Some adjectives: appalling, very shocking or bad. Equitic, fair or equal. Hypocritical, saying one thing but doing another. Impartial, not biased. Irresponsible, not showing responsibility. Nocturnal, active at night. Outrageous, shocking and unacceptable. Risky, dangerous. Venomous, poisonous, usually for animals like snakes. Some verbs: flourish, to grow well. Forage, to search for food. Hibernate, animals sleeping through winter. Lay, to produce eggs. Poach, to hunt illegally. Thrive, to grow or develop successfully. Now let's move to part 3 questions. Number 1. Do you think people in your country care enough about animal protection? Honestly, I'd say not really. People are aware of the issue, but awareness doesn't always translate into action. For example, while many people say they care about endangered species, they still use plastic bags that harm marine habitats. So there is definitely a gap between intention and behavior. Why do you think some species become extinct? There are several reasons, but the most common ones are deforestation, poaching, and habitat degradation. When humans cut down forests or build over wetlands, animals lose their homes. Add climate change to that equation, Add climate change to that equation and extinction becomes almost inevitable. Number 3. Should animals be kept in zoos or in their natural habitat? Well, to a certain extent, zoos can help with education and conservation. For instance, some zoos protect the species that are on the brink of extinction. However, I strongly believe animals are healthier and happier in their natural habitats. So, zoos should only exist for genuine conservation, not entertainment. Number 4. Do you think farm animals are treated well in your country? If I'm being honest, not always. Many farms are driven by mass production, or so animals are often kept in overcrowded conditions. It's quite appalling, but to be fair, that said, there are some smaller farms that try to raise animals in a more human way, but they are exceptions rather than the rule. Number 5. Should governments spend more money on protecting wild animals? Definitely. Wildfire is a part of our heritage, and once a species is gone, it's gone forever. Governments could allocate funds to create more national parks or to tackle illegal poaching. In the long run, protecting biodiversity also helps humans because a balanced ecosystem supports agriculture and clean water. Number 6. How can ordinary people help to protect animals? There are lots of small but meaningful actions: recycling, avoiding plastic, refusing products made from animal skin or fur, and supporting eco-friendly businesses. People can also volunteer with conservation groups or donate money. I'd say even raising awareness on social media can make a difference. Number 7. Do you think animals should be used for scientific research? That is a very controversial issue. On one hand, animals have been used to test life-saving medicines, and that cannot be ignored. On the other hand, many argue it's cruel and outdated. Personally, I think we should gradually replace animal testing with modern alternatives like computer simulations or lab grown cells. Number 8. Why is biodiversity important for human beings? Biodiversity ensures that ecosystems remain resilient and balanced. For example, if bees, which are vital pollinators, disappeared, our food supply would collapse. Similarly, forests absorb carbon dioxide and regulate climate, so when we protect animals, we're actually protecting ourselves. Let's move to a part 2 sample answer. Describe a zoo that you like. You should say, where is it? What animals you saw there? What you liked or disliked about it? And explain why you enjoyed it. One zoo that I really enjoyed visiting was the Tehran Zoological Garden, which is just outside the city. What impressed me the most was the sheer variety of animals, from lions and tigers to local species like Persian leopards. Uh, I remember going there on a school trip, and at first I wasn't too excited because I thought it would be small and poorly maintained. But actually, what surprised me was how spacious some of the enclosures were, especially for the larger animals. Of course, it wasn't perfect. Some parts felt a little outdated, but overall, it gave me a chance to see animals that I had only read about in books. The reason I liked it is that it made me more aware of conservation efforts. For example, I learned that some of the animals were part of the breeding programs for endangered species. What I found particularly fascinating was the animals were part of the breeding programs for endangered species. What I found particularly fascinating was how the zoo tries to balance education with entertainment. So, in short, although I don't really usually support keeping animals in captivity, I think that zoo gave me a valuable experience. It reminded me that zoos, when managed responsibly, can play a positive role in protecting wildlife. Describe a wild animal in your country. You should say what animal it is, where it lives, how people in your country view this animal, and explain why it is important or interesting. One animal that is quite famous in Iran is the Persian leopard. It is actually one of the largest leopard subspecies in the world, and it lives mainly in the mountainous ranges of northern Iran, especially near the Caspian Sea and the Alborz Mountains. What makes this animal so special is its rarity. Sadly, it is considered endangered, and only a few hundred remain in the wild. What I find most fascinating is its strength and adaptability. Persian leopards can survive in harsh, rugged terrains where few other big cats could. In terms of how people view it, I'd say it's a mixture. On the one hand, mainly Iranians feel proud to have such a majestic animal as a part of our natural heritage. On the other hand, in rural areas, farmers sometimes see it as a threat because it can prey on livestock. The reason I admire this animal so much is that it symbolizes resilience. Despite habitat loss, poaching, and human expansion, it has managed to survive. And if conservation efforts continue, I truly hope it'll flourish again in the future. So for me, the Persian leopard is not just an animal, it's a reminder of biodiversity we must protect.